it says they want us to find the equation of a line that has a slope of -3 and contains the point 1, -5. So remember, any equation of a line, we're going to write it in the form y equals mx plus b, right? Okay, so let's see what letters they gave us. So they said we have a slope of -3. Which one of these letters would be the slope? Very good. Okay, they also gave us a coordinate point. What letters are a coordinate point? No, what letters are a coordinate point? What letters?
Y and X and Y.
X and Y, very good. Okay, so I've got an M, an X, and a Y that I can plug in. So the only thing I don't have is B. Well, I know how to solve for one variable at a time, so that's exactly what we're going to do. Just plug in the values they gave us. So in place of Y, I'm going to plug in what they said Y was, -5, is equal to M, what do we say M was? 3, times what they say X was. Good. And then we got plus B on the end. All right, so I multiply these first. What is -3 times 1?
-3.
All right, so I got -5 equals -3 plus B. And if I want to get B by itself, what are we going to do? Plus 3. And what is -5 plus 3?
-2.
Very good. So now I know that in the equation, B is -2. So I come over here. My equation is y equals, we said our slope was -3, so -3x, and then our B is -2. All right. They say, what is the x and y intercept of this equation? Okay, well, there's a couple ways I could find that. I could rearrange it into this form, put it in my calculator, and try and find those values on the table. The other rule is that you could just take the part that has the x in it and set it equal to that number, solve for x, that should give you x, and then do the same for your y. Okay, so you could take 3x and set it equal to 18. And how would I get x by itself here? So x is, okay, and we know that an x-intercept is written as the number, comma, 0. So there's the x-intercept. And you can do the exact same thing for the y. So here's my piece with y. I'm going to take -2y and set it equal to the 18. All right, and how would I get y by itself? Very good. And what is 18 divided by -2? -9, right? All right. And we know that a y-intercept is going to have an x value of 0, so we would write that as 0, -9. So there's my x and y intercepts. Okay, so on today's notes, we're basically just reviewing what we learned yesterday about how we can simplify variables underneath there and our rule with our numbers as well. So just combining everything we've done with radicals so far. So if you missed last class, this is perfect because you get to catch back up right here. All right, so first we just have a number underneath there. Is there a perfect square root of 648? So I'm going to need to think to myself of some numbers that would multiply to give me that. I may not know any, but if nothing else, this number is even. So what's going to go into it? 2. So 2 times what would give me 648? Very good. Okay. And 324 is still pretty big, but it's also even. So if nothing else, we know 2 will go into it. 2 times what is going to give me 324? 162. Yep. Which is also still pretty big. So we may not know multiplication for that, but it's even as well. So 2 and what?
81.
81. All right. So we should know what multiplies to give us 81. 9 and 9. Very good. Okay. So now I'm going to start circling my pairs that we found. So it looks like we have a pair of 9s. Do I have any other pairs I can circle? One pair of 2s. But is this 2 going to have a pair? No, it's left over, right? So remember, if we find a pair for it, that means we get to take it out. So I get to take out a 2, and I take out a 9. Well, if I take out 2 things, what do we do with them? Very good. So I'm going to multiply those 2 things together, but what was left over without a pair? So I'm going to have to leave a 2 underneath there. It didn't have a pair. All right, so I'm going to simplify this. What is 2 times 9? Very good. So this is equivalent to 18 square root of 2. Okay, so that's what we did 2 classes ago, right? Okay, and then last class, we also added on what our rules are for variables underneath there, right? So we're still do the same thing for our number. So we got 512. Is there a perfect square root of 512?
No.
So we're thinking to ourselves, what could multiply to give us 512? It's even, right?
256.
Okay, 2 and 256. Okay. What about 256?
152. No, 28.
2 and 128, okay. What about 128? 2 and 64. And what about 64?
8 and 8.
Good. All right, so now I'm going to start circling pairs. Looks like we got a pair of 8s, and what else? A pair of 2s. And do we have any leftovers? Just 1, 2. Very good. All right, so I get to take out a 2 and an 8. What am I going to do with that 2 and 8?
Multiply them and we'll get you 16.
Very good. So I got 16 that I get to take out. And we have that 2 left over. Remember, we're going to put a little space in there because we haven't done our variables yet. So I'm going to put a little space and put my leftover 2 over here. Okay. So now we look at our variables. Remember, our rules depend on if their exponent is an even number or an odd number, right? So for A, is the exponent even or odd? Even. So what do I do with that exponent of 2?
It is moving. Right? Divide by 2.
Divide by 2. If it's an even number, all we do is divide by 2. So what is 2 divided by 2? 1. So we get to take out 1A. And it was even, so no leftovers, right?
Yep.
Okay, what about B? Even or odd exponent? Odd. So what do I do if my exponent is odd?
Leave a remainder.
What do we do first? What am I supposed to do
Oh,
then?
you divide it by 2.
Not yet. What do we do first? Because
Subtract by 1, then
subtract
divide by
1.
2.
There we go. So because it's odd, we subtract 1, which would give us 2, and then we divide by 2. And again, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I get to take out 1b, but because it's odd, what did we have? 1 remainder, so I have to leave 1b underneath there. So if it's even, all we have to do is divide by 2. If it's odd, we subtract 1 and then divide by 2 and leave our leftover underneath it. Okay? All right, let's do another one. Okay, so it looks like in this one underneath here we've got square root of 81. What's our square root of 81? All right, square root of 81 is 9 in my pairs. Good. So I'm going to get to take out 9. Okay, my exponent for A underneath here is 6. Is that even or odd? Even. So what am I going to do to that 6? What did you say? Divided by 2. Very good. So 6 divided by 2 leaves us with 3. Okay, so we're going to get to take out a to the third, right? And there was already one a out there. So how many a's is that altogether? If we're taking out 3 and there's already one there. Very good. We got a to the 4th. Okay, for b, what's my exponent? 8, which is even or odd?
Even.
So I'm just going to divide by 2, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I get to take out b to the 4th, and there was already 1 out there, so really on the outside we're going to have b to the 5th. And because those were even, no leftovers, so we don't have a square root anymore. Alright. Okay, on number 4. What multiplies to give us 12?
6 and 2.
Okay. And what multiplies to give us 6?
8 and 2.
So do I have any pairs there?
0 and 0.
Got a 1 pair of 2, and then we got 1 3 left over, right? So I get to take out the 2, also what was already out there, a 2. So I got 2 and 2 on the outside. 2 times 2 gives us
4.
good. So I have a 4 on the outside. And then we have this leftover 3 that's going to have to stay behind, but I'm going to skip a little space so we kind of have room for our variables. All right, so my variable with a, okay, it has an exponent of 7. Is 7 even or odd? Odd. So what do I do before I divide by 2? Subtract 1. There we go. And what are we going to get here? 3. So I get to take out a to the 3rd, but because it was odd, what are we going to have? Very good. So I have to leave 1a underneath there. Okay, what was my exponent for b? 11. Is that even or odd? So we have to subtract 1, and then divide by 2, and what are we going to get? Good. So we get to take out b to the 5th, but because the exponent was odd,
We have a remainder.
we have a remainder. Very good. All right. Okay. On number 5, we got 72 under here. What multiplies to give us 72? Very good. And 36, what multiplies to give us 36? Perfect. So I have a pair of 6s and a leftover 2, right? So I'm going to get to take out a 6, but what did they already have out there? So what is 6 times negative 5? Nice. So I got negative 30. I'm going to skip some space and put my radical with my leftover 2 underneath it. Okay, now we worry about those variables. Do you have a question, Ashton? No? Oh, okay. You could break these down further and you just end up with more pairs, but you would still get the same thing. So you could break the 6s down into 2s and 3s. It's just a little extra work for you. Okay? Alright, so my variable, the x, has an exponent of 5. Is that even or odd? Odd. So we subtract 1, divide by 2. What are we going to get?
2.
Good. And there was already one x out here. We're going to take out 2. So altogether I'll have x to be good. And like you said, we do have 1 left over because that exponent was odd to begin with. Then for y, my exponent is 4. Is 4 even or odd?
Even.
Even. So I just go ahead and divide by 2 and we get
Y squared.
good. There was already one y out here, so we're going to have y to be
Y cubed.
good. And because that one was even, we're not going to have any leftover y's, right? Okay. Alright, we just got one more. So we've got 121. Well, what's the square root of 121? 11, right? 11 times 11 gives me 121. So I get to take out 11. There also was already a 3 out there. What's that going to give us? Very good. Okay, so we got 33 on the outside. Now I'm going to look at my variables. So m, the exponent is 4. Is 4 even or odd? Even. So I'm going to divide by 2 and I just get 2. So I'm going to take out 2. Were there already any m's on the outside? Yeah, we had 1 outside and I'm taking out 2. So we're going to have m to the nice. Okay, for n, I got n to the 5th. So the exponent is 5. Even or odd? So we...
Subtract 4 and divided by 2.
Very good. So again, we're going to end up with 2. Were there already any out there? How many?
2.
So we're taking out 2. There was 2 already there. We're going to have n to the...
4.
And because the exponent was 5, we also are going to have... Oh, sorry. Thank you. We're going to have 1 left over, right? So skip a little space there. Put the n underneath. All right. Then last letter, we've got p has an exponent of 7. Is 7 even or odd? Okay, so I subtract 1, divide by 2, and what do we get? Good. Were there any p's already on the outside? So nothing to worry about there. We just get to take out p to the... And the exponent was 7, so what else do we have? Very good. All right, that is it. A riddle.